Evelyn Taft. Ev.
Well, Sharon, yeah, that's exactly right. I think we were all sweating it out, unless you were in an air-conditioned building. I know a lot of us were here. Don't want to rub it in, but it was pretty hot out there, and temperatures are still quite mild. In fact, not even mild. You can call it pretty warm. We're at 84 degrees, and that's right here at the broadcast center in Studio City. Temperatures across the board in the 70s, 80s, even some 90s out there this evening. Burbank currently at 90, Ontario at 90 degrees. A little cooler for Oxnard along the coast, 69 degrees for us this evening. We did get pretty warm earlier today. In fact, we did set some records, and we tied some records earlier today as well. Lancaster, you set a record earlier. We got up to 99. The record number was 98. This is the previous record. Sandburg tied a record. You got up to 92 today. The previous record was 92. Santa Maria, a little up the coast, Central Coast right there, 100 earlier today. 95 was the last record. Indio, you tied a record at 110. And Thermal, you tied a record at 112 degrees. So very hot forecast. We're expecting maybe a record or two tomorrow. We'll let you know what to expect and when we'll finally cool down. That's all coming up in just a little bit. Rick and Sharon, back to you.
There is no way or nowhere to escape this heat.
Well, somebody should tell Summer to butt out.
Yeah.
It's not your time.
Yeah.
No,
Summer.
You had your time.
time.
And you didn't do this.
No.
You know?
It's too bad.
Yeah, I mean, there were some days, but this has to be one of the hotter days.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
It's just as hot, if not hotter than a lot of summer days we had this year. So it's pretty amazing how hot it got. We did set some records earlier today, so we want to talk about those coming up in just a minute. We want to take you outside as well. It's nice and mild, nice and got a red flag warning in effect for the LA County Mountains, the Ventura County Mountains as well, and a fire weather watch in effect for the Santa Monica Mountains in effect through tomorrow. You'll see the fire weather warning in effect through tomorrow. That's going to be tomorrow evening at 6 o'clock, and that watch in effect through tomorrow morning. That's going to be for the Santa Monica range right there, the Santa Monica Mountains. So regardless of whether you're under the watch or not, it's still going to be pretty hot out there. It's still going to be pretty dry, and it's still pretty breezy to windy, especially in the higher elevations. Mostly clear out there, and again, we are maybe looking at a little bit of patchy fog in the morning hours. Do you want to talk about temperatures earlier today? We've been setting those records. Lancaster, well, you set a record at 99. The record to beat was 98, and you beat it by a degree. Sandburg tied a record at 92 up on the Central Coast. Santa Maria broke a record, got up to 100 degrees. Indio 110, and Thermal 112 tied a record there. Temperatures right now in the 70s and the 80s, a very warm night out there. 86 in Riverside, 79 in Anaheim, and 78 currently in Long Beach. Wind-wise, we are looking at a little bit of a westerly breeze that could bring in just a bit of patchy fog. Other than that, pretty calm. The high desert looking at double-digit wind speeds coming from the west actually at this point at 10 miles an hour. Let's jump ahead to your extended forecast. We all want to know when we're finally going to get some relief. It's still hot tomorrow. We're in the triple digits. 90 still by Wednesday, cooling down to the low 90s by Thursday, and by your weekend, upper 80s inland. So finally getting relief by then. For the basin in Orange County, 90s turning to 80s and finally down to the low 80s by the time we hit your Saturday. Rick and Sharon, back to you.
Alrighty.
We certainly are, and we're going to be on heat watch tomorrow too. It's going to be pretty hot, a couple degrees cooler, but even then we're still talking triple digit heat into our inland spots. And I will say, the nice thing about a really hot day is always that warm night. So 82 degrees. That's right here at the broadcast center in Studio City. A few people out and about on the pier this evening. We are looking at a pretty nice night along the coast, upper 60s and 70s there. Lancaster at 78, Riverside 89, and Burbank still quite hot at 90 degrees. A little bit of a breeze coming in from the west, and actually I will tell you there could potentially be a little bit of patchy fog, but just along the immediate coastline of the beach. Other than that, nice and clear across the board with very warm temperatures. We did hit a couple records. We tied a few more. Lancaster, you hit a record getting up to 99 today. The old record was 98, so you beat that by a degree. Sandburg tied a record at 92. Santa Maria up on the Central Coast, a little ways up there, but 100 degrees for us. 95 was the last record set at the Santa Maria Airport. Indio tied a record at 110, and Thermal, you also tied a record at 112 degrees. In the meantime, we do have some watches and warnings to talk about as well. We have a red flag warning that's still in effect through tomorrow evening at 6 o'clock. This is for the Santa Clarita Valley, the LA and Ventura County Mountains. We also have a fire weather watch that expires at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning for the Santa Monica Mountains. We're expecting very hot and dry conditions, and also windy conditions. The offshore flows creating for the hot, dry, again, clear conditions as well. And high pressure continuing to hold strong over Southern California. But eventually, I will tell you that sea breeze is going to start to kick in. And as it does, temperatures are gradually, I know I hear some sighing over there, temperatures are going to finally cool down. So we're looking forward to that. At least I think most of us are. Back to you.
Like all of it, look at the forecast.
Yeah, we've got a lot to talk about tonight. Rick and Sharon, temperatures were hot today, and they're going to stay hot at least for tomorrow. We'll tell you what we can expect and when it's finally going to cool down in just a minute. We're taking you outside to the Santa Monica Pier, where we're looking at plenty of people out and about this evening. In the meantime, we're still dealing with watches and warnings out there. We've got a fire weather watch and a red flag warning in effect through tomorrow for the LA County Mountains, the Ventura County Mountains, and the Santa Clarita Valley. That stays in effect through 6 o'clock. We're expecting hot and dry conditions mixed in with windy conditions, those offshore winds kicking in, and those warm, dry winds creating for fire conditions out there. Also for the Santa Monica Mountains, we do have a fire weather watch. That's in effect, and it stays in effect through 10 o'clock, and that's 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. So same drill, expecting windy conditions, dry conditions, and hot conditions out there tomorrow. Radar showing you mostly clear skies out there tonight. There is a chance of maybe a bit of patchy cloud cover along the coast in the morning hours, but very minimal. Pretty much everybody else expecting sunshine and an immediate warm up in the morning hours. Still very warm right now. We're in the 70s and 80s. 86 in Pasadena, 81 in Anaheim, 78 in Long Beach, and Laguna Beach at 75 as we head over to Temecula. We're at 74 in Riverside, again in the 80s for us this evening. Wind speeds are pretty calm. Generally, the wind is coming out of the west, but we are looking at those offshore conditions tomorrow. We're seeing those northerly winds kick in as well. 94 earlier today in downtown, average is 81. We were well above average. Minor cooling tomorrow. Hot temperatures continue. There's that red flag warning we were talking about and that fire weather watch that we were talking about as well, staying in effect through tomorrow morning. 67 degrees into the overnight hours, so it will be clear and mild out there for the basin. 78 by the morning hours, and by the afternoon we are up to the 90s. A little cooler than today, but by cooler we're only shedding a degree or two. So there's a chance we could set a record or two. Certainly looking at above average temperatures, triple digits for our inland spots. 90s as we head into the later part of the week, and 80s by the weekend. We'll have that forecast for the basin and the coast coming up in the 9 o'clock hour, so don't go away. Back to you. Well, Lena and Sylvia, temperatures are still quite hot out there as we speak, and we did see very hot numbers earlier today. That pattern continuing as we head to tomorrow. So we'll have that extended forecast in a minute. We're taking you to the Santa Monica Pier. A lot of people out on the pier tonight. Don't blame you. It's actually a little cooler out there tonight, upper 60s and low 70s along the coast this evening. 80 right here at the Broadcast Center in Studio City, 84 in Pasadena, 76 in Wrightwood, Lancaster at 83, Santa Monica, you're actually a little warmer at 78, 74 in Laguna Beach, 72 in Oceanside, and as we move over to Oxnard up to the Ventura County coastline, 70 degrees for us tonight. Wind speeds pretty calm at the moment, but we did see some windier conditions in the higher elevations earlier today, and that will continue to be the case. So the windy conditions mixed in with the dry conditions and the hot conditions making for fire weather out there. So we do have a few warnings we want to talk about momentarily. Do want to show you how hot it got earlier today. We broke a few records, tied a few records. Lancaster broke a record, getting up to 99 today. The last record was 98, so we beat that by a degree. Sandburg tied a record at 92. We're taking you up the Central Coast to Santa Maria. 100 degrees earlier today at the airport. 95 was the previous record. Indio 110 tied a record at 110, and Thermal tied a record as well at 112. Watches and warnings for you. We still have that fire weather warning in effect through 6 o'clock tomorrow evening for the Santa Clarita Valley, the LA County Mountains, and the Ventura County Mountains. We also have a fire watch in effect for the Santa Monica Mountains. That's going to stay in effect through 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. Regardless, though, still looking at a very hot day on our hands. We'll have more on temperatures and when it's finally going to cool down. That's all coming up in just a little bit. Lena and Sylvia, back to you.